Introduction to Business. I was excited when I signed up for the entire certificate course. Super excited when the first day of class started because I wanted to learn more about business. A lot of times, as employees, sometimes we don't focus on the behind the scenes of a business. And as business owners, if you are one, a lot of times starting off, we're excited about the money aspect of it, or being able to leave a company and not being able to, or not having to work for someone else. And so the first thing that I came across as we went through the discussion questions, or had to answer the discussion questions, was macroeconomics, which focuses on the structure and decision making of our economy, while microeconomics focuses on the structure of individuals and households. So, in essence, basically, they contribute to our economic lives: taxes, wealth, how we spend money, how we save money, how companies pay employees, and how companies price goods, to name a few. And so those are things that we deal with every day. And again, sometimes we don't look at everything, again, the behind the scenes of things, or maybe the true meaning of things. And so next we talked about ethical behaviors. And with ethical behaviors, companies can incorporate policies and procedure. Management can lead by example, offering ongoing and refresher training on policy and procedure, staff making the right decision, individual and company moral compasses. And this is great when the company that you work for actually lives by their ethical behaviors. I can recall working for an agency where that didn't happen. A lot of times the policy and procedure was not followed. Management did not lead by example unless they were leading in a direction of how do you mistreat your employees. There are a lot of times staff didn't make the right decision. I think a lot of that came from management. They say things trickle down. I won't say what they say trickles, but a lot of things, things trickle down from the top. Then we talked about stakeholders. We got into stakeholders, which includes the owners, investors, employees, customers, government, suppliers, competitors, and the community. And again, a lot of times we don't take the time to really think about who the stakeholders of our companies are, or even what a stakeholder is. And so again, going through this course this semester really helped us to focus, again, on a lot of things that maybe we didn't give much thought to. And so with stakeholders, responsibilities, of course, are going to be different. Employees should be treated fairly and respectfully, which doesn't always happen. So I was glad that we were able to tackle some human resource issues. Customers must be able to trust the company they patronize. And I think some of us, if not all of us, have come into situations or patronize a business that maybe we didn't trust so much. So I think about the companies that I've been able to trust over the years. Ukrops being one of those companies, Chick-fil-A being one of those companies. And I think back to their customer service, where they go the extra mile. Sometimes that makes a difference when a company goes the extra mile and making sure that their customers are taken care of. But again, as I stated, sometimes within your own company, that doesn't happen. And so we got into multinational companies, and those are companies that operate and generate revenue with at least one other country. So in a lot of the chapters, we had to look at advantages and disadvantages of things. So some advantages of multinational companies are not facing the same trade problems as other countries, not being restricted to regulatory problems, access to new and different technologies, labor costs are cheaper, shifting products as market conditions change. Something else that I was able to learn, I don't think we really touched on it, but our professor or instructor gave us information on non-compete clauses. So that was another reason why I was glad to be able to take this class, because I was able to get information that maybe I was already familiar with, but got an update on some things. And so I didn't know until recently that now you cannot put a non-compete clause in your contracts. All right. So then we got into forms of business, which I was already familiar with. I am an entrepreneur/business owner. So there were a few things that I already knew, some things that I was already familiar with. So we took a look at sole proprietorship, and they gave you the advantages and different disadvantages. For example, I'll just give one of each. One of the advantages, the business owner makes all business decisions. One of the disadvantages, the business owner makes all the decisions. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but in a sole proprietorship, you have to be able to make all decisions. Whereas if you have a partnership, at least you have somebody you can kind of bounce ideas off of, and get some different ideas, a different perspective other than your own. So then the chapter moved into partnership. So again, just one thing, partnerships, two or more companies or two or more individuals share expenses. And I've been in partnership with other people, and it makes a world of difference when you have someone who can split expenses with you. Maybe you got to get supplies, or maybe you're hosting an event. So that makes a big difference as far as your pockets go. So one of the disadvantages, especially if it's a company where it's just you and one other individual, conflicts when partners do not see eye to eye. I was part of an organization, and I wanted to make sure that we always had an odd number of people so that when it was time to vote, we were able to make a decision based on that. I didn't want to have an even number of people, because if you had to make a decision and you were at a tie, 4 people vote yes, 4 people vote no. So that could be an issue. But moving on. All right, so next it got into a franchise. So business owners have a variety of options when starting a company. Some make the choice to be part of a franchise. All right, so according to NerdWallet, a big benefit that franchisees receive when opening a franchise is brand recognition. So here are some disadvantages. The franchisee is obligated to pay fees and royalties. The franchisee is restricted by whatever guidelines and rules the franchisor puts in place. A lot of times we want to go into business for ourselves and don't always realize the pros and cons of those things. A lot of times I found also that going into business, some people don't really take the time to research and map things out before they dive into a business or before they start a business. I can recall having a conversation with several people, and I asked them, do you have a business plan? And they're like, no, I don't have a business plan. What do I need that for? So again, taking this class, again, was very beneficial to me. So then we moved into, which was one of my favorite parts of the course, which was the 3 categories of entrepreneurship. Now, this is something that I didn't know. I didn't know there were 3 categories. So you have class entrepreneurship, multi-entrepreneurships, and the intrapreneur. It went into the characteristics of entrepreneurs. And I think I kind of fall into those categories: ambitious, independent, self-confident, risk takers, visionaries, creative, energetic, passionate, committed. And you have to be, being an entrepreneur. You've got to be willing to take a chance. You've got to be able to stand on your own. You've got to be confident. You've got to have a vision. You've got to be creative in coming up with different things. There's always a constant need to change. And so that was important to me. So with the class entrepreneur, these entrepreneurs come up with innovative ideas. The multi-entrepreneurs, those who do not limit themselves to just one idea. And the intrapreneur, one who maintains their job while nurturing new ideas. So I think I kind of fall into a lot of those areas. All right. Moving on to planning. So planning is essential in managing. Planning provides direction, decision-making, support, performance measurements, and encouraging accountability. So a lot of businesses fail because they don't plan. As I stated, I've talked to a lot of people who wanted to start a business, but they didn't have a plan. I think sometimes we see the big picture. Oh my gosh, I can make all this money. I can bake, I can flip, I can dance. But then don't really think about everything that goes into it. And so with planning, there are 4 types of planning. You have to be strategic. To create long goals over a period of 1 to 5 years. You have to be tactical, specific objectives with a shorter time frame to reach goals. Operational, focuses on the policies and procedures. Contingency, these plans serve as backup or what if a plan does not work? And I think sometimes going into business, we don't always think about that. Well, what if this plan doesn't work? Sometimes we're so gung-ho on, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to move forward. And so I hear a lot of different times, and I don't know which side of the fence I want to be on when they say don't plant all your eggs in one basket, when some people say, yeah, you do need to plant all your eggs or place your eggs in one basket so you can stay focused. All right, I'm going to keep moving. Let's see. Successful managers. So we get into leadership. So again, I've been in companies where leadership was horrible. And so those were some of the things that made me decide to go look for employment elsewhere. And so for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into a long definition as far as what leadership style is, but successful managers exemplify the following: interpersonal skills, communication and motivation, organizational skills, strategic thinking, decision-making, motivational mentoring. So this course also helped to put some things into perspective. This course also helped me to think about things that I need to focus on and things I need to incorporate as I continue with my businesses and explore new businesses. All right, so then we get into team structure. In my job, I'm on the best team ever. I haven't always had that experience where I'm surrounded by a team of great people where we actually pour into each other. We genuinely want to help each other. I've been in companies where the team members refuse to help each other and management decides to let those things play out. How can you operate as a team when you don't function as a team? And so that caused a lot of chaos within the team that I was in. But I was so happy to be able to leave that place and go somewhere where there was respect and, again, genuine desire to help each other. All right. So team structure, information, knowledge, and experience from a number of people helps in the decision-making, different perspective, and diversity gives the company a wider range of options to reach goals and solve problems. Like I said, within organizations that I worked in, that didn't always take place. So we got into financial information. Taking classes helps to focus more. For example, understanding financial information and accounting in any business is critical because it helps in planning and determining current and future spending, growth, sustainability, compliance, and identifying risk. All right, so then you get into financial statements, analyzing your business transactions, documenting transactions, posting journal entries, preparing a trial balance, preparing financial statements, analyzing reports. So if that's not something that you're familiar with, you may want to talk to a tax consultant or an accountant. All right, so this is the chapter that kind of threw me a little bit. When we start talking about the ratios, it's like, okay, what are we doing? I know with that's something that I would have to get more details on in a little bit more in-depth. What do I want to say? Just more time to go over something like that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going on that. So that, I don't want to say the chapter was challenging, but, you know, that was one of the bumps in going through this business class. But again, you know, or this business course, but those are things that we need to be able to tackle going into business. And not just being a business owner, but it's good to understand those things when you're working for an organization. All right, so we talked about marketing. So with marketing, we have product, price, place, promotion, people. I should have just said the 5 Ps. There are 5 components of market: segmentation, demographic, geographic, benefits, value. What else? Let's see. So then we have 4 life cycle stages: introduction, growth, maturity, decline. So each product or service goes through 4 life cycles, examining sales and profits at each stage. So again, I gave you the 4 stages, which was introduction. This is a heavy focus on promotion, growth, maturity, decline. And that just makes me think of the project that we had to do, which I really enjoyed, surprisingly. I really enjoyed that project that we had to turn in when we had to come up with this breakfast company, or when we had to create a project or an event. So I really enjoyed that part of the class. Then we talked about promotion. Promotion is key when businesses want to introduce products or services to consumers. I know that's one of the biggest things for my own personal business, is constantly having to promote what I do, always putting what I do in front of people, always making sure that they're seeing something different, something that's going to capture their attention. All right, so I'm just going to keep moving. So human resources, super important. So human resources is responsible for hiring, developing, motivating, and evaluating employees to reach organizational goals, employee recruitment, training and development, performance planning, and evaluation. So direct and indirect pay are two types of compensation. So we got into that. Let's see. Labor unions. There are a lot of companies who don't have labor unions. I know one of the companies that I work for, one of the agencies that I work for here in Richmond, when I was working there, they didn't have a labor union. And just recently, over the last probably 2 years, they fought really hard to get a labor union within the organization, which helps the employees. So, yeah, I don't want to get into that a lot because I think we're going past my 15 minutes. So we're going to keep moving. Employees should continually look for ways to inspire their staff. Again, I don't always think that happens, especially if you have bad management. Sometimes people in management positions shouldn't be there, and they don't know how to manage. I think sometimes there's companies or agencies are so focused on the employees that they don't look at their management staff. Just like employees need constant training and refresher and, being abreast of new things, so does management. Management needs to go through constant training because things are constantly changing. How we operate, how we do business, constantly changing. And if your managers aren't aware of that, that's going to be a problem. Real quick example. I remember when I was working for social services, and for those of you who don't know, social services thrives on policy and procedure for social services. And we had so many managers in those positions for so long where they weren't going through training, is that when policy and procedure changed, sometimes they didn't always know. And then we were ready to turn in cases. They were documenting them incorrectly because they were not abreast or not aware of all the current changes in policy. So how can you look to inspire your staff when, again, you're not doing a good job? All right, so we learned about a lot of different theories. Maslow's theory focuses on humans satisfying their needs, and then the theory was broken down into 5 levels. Let's see. So we go back to motivating employees. So this is something that we probably needed to share in the agency that I work for. So management can do some of the following to increase and retain employees, which I agree with. The individual's belief regarding what they do, how they are treated in comparison to other employees, working towards completing goals, consequences, and rewards. So I was able to do my, I guess it was a manager's interview or leadership interview that we had to do. And so I was able to interview one of my friends, and it took her, I want to say it took her a couple of tries to get into the role of manager. And sometimes you just have to change your staff in order to bring new things to an agency or to a place of business, because they have new ideas, they have fresh ideas. And because she had already, or she was in the role of a case manager, she knew things that were needed, so she's now able to implement that with her team. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. Motivating employees, job enrichment, job enlargement, flexible work scheduling opportunities, job rotation, job sharing, recognition, and economic incentives. I'm going to say something about the pandemic. I think that made a grave difference in how we work present day, is being able to work from home. I work for DOC in the midst of COVID, and so I had to be at work every day regardless. There was no days off for DOC staff. And when I moved to social services, we had 4 days at home, 1 day in the office. And now in my present position, I have 1 day at home that I'm working, and then all of the other days I'm in the office. But it makes a difference. It kind of breaks up that Every day of being in the office gives you time to be home, to be able to do more things. And then at home, it's a different environment, maybe need a little bit more quiet. But I think that makes a difference, and that goes into flexibility and different scheduling. Moving on. So things we need to exemplify interpersonal skills, learning to be good listeners, mastering the art of public skills, building trust with others, which isn't always easy. I think that was one of the problems that I had in the agency, where the team just was not working together. Building self-confidence, empathy, respect, discretion. Some other things that are beneficial: problem solving, analytical reasoning, critical thinking, leadership, adaptability, teamwork, communication, writing, and listening, creativity, attention to detail, project management, relationship building, computer skills. That's something else. Constantly learning the changes in technology. All right, so qualities. We don't always know what employees are looking for, but I think sometimes that's doing research. I think sometimes that's maybe calling, if you're looking into a new job, maybe calling HR. If you know somebody who already works for the company, you can get information from them. But some of the main things that employees are looking for is ambition, communication, great communication, confidence, critical thinking, dependability, determination, eagerness to learn, flexibility, honesty, loyalty, and positivity. All right, so those are the things that captured my attention in this course. Again, I was glad that I was able to take the course. And we incorporated some other things. We incorporated team building. We incorporated, being able to work with other people we didn't know, coming together to get work done. And a lot of times that happens in the workplace present day. So I will close with that. This has been a great experience. I'm looking forward to my next classes, and I will close with that. Thank you.